We face battles all the time, even if you don't see it. That's why I dress pretty like this. It's my strength before I build up my other strength at school and work. And then he said, "Isn't that exhausting?" She continued, "As long as I can prove them wrong, it is worth it." He thought to himself, prove them wrong? But who? This is episode 2 of Gimai Seikatsu, a story about a boy and a girl of the same age where their parents married each other. It is surprisingly not a rom-com slice of life as what you would expect from such a premise, as that one scene I've presented. The two were very clear about their relationship and the lines they made. A heads up, I do not read the light novel, so my knowledge is based on the anime. There is not much backstory yet, but the boy, I would say, is considerate, understanding, and gentle. The girl, on the other hand, is independent and hardworking, but has a hard time or perhaps intentionally pushed people away. From what I had so far, she is a child of a mother who worked at a nightlife. Her mother is someone who is attractive, yet her highest education is only high school. Saki, the girl telling the story, thinks that people see her mother from that lens. If you're educated, you're snobby. If you're pretty, you're a gold digger, etc. I think her logic here is very fair. That's why she wants to excel at everything, become independent, and stand on her own 2 feet without relying on others. I came from an Asian family, and you can already expect what came pre-packaged with it. My people have high expectation from me, nailing high school, good grades, music, all the stuff. They like to push their views and their agendas to me. Sometimes it's even sadder because they use me to push their own child, my cousins. I am one of the older ones, so the expectations put upon me are high, and I put my cousins even higher. We were so ingrained to not fail, succeed in life, secure a high position. I still remember they tried to get me into either a med school because doctors are viewed so highly in life, or a programmer because technology again viewed so highly. When I just graduated from high school, you know how all your peers are scattering to find uni. It kind of pushed me to look for one as well. What would you be without higher education, they say. I am lucky enough to get into one of the big uni on my own. It's not the best major out there, but there is this system in my country where if I get accepted through this system, the tuition fee for one semester is only around $200 converted. My point back then wasn't to look for the major. After all, lots of people majored in stuff they don't care about too much as well. I was thinking that if I got accepted through this system, I could actually help my mom by not getting a higher education that's gonna put us in debt. I was so happy back then that I managed to get this. More so, my mom, who also was rarely as happy as I was. I don't remember whether I heard this through my mom or directly, but one of my closest family members said, "Why is he taking that major? What will he be like in the future like this? What is the point? He's just going to waste all that time and have no future." It struck me, those words, whether I like to admit it or not. It made me question whether or not I was making the right choice. I do hate them for that, but still, what they said, what would my future be? I started to mull over that, especially in front of them all with their condescending tone. I could have finished with a high grade and they would laugh at me, saying, "Huh, only that major?" And it hurt. So I'd hurt them back. That's what my mom said anyway. That has always been her teaching, and I love my mom for it. She is the type of person to not let go of her spite. Always her teaching and her ideals were to prove them wrong. I've heard some people do this as well, sort of use the negativity as their fuel. They can laugh at us, they can mock us, and we won't be able to fight back to them yet. But when the moment comes, we'll show them how successful we'll be through our own sweat and hard work without asking them for help. Then they'll see. Sounds familiar? I understand where Saki came from. She or her mother might have received judgment from people before. That's why she put up that front. She said it herself, we face battles all the time, and that's such a valid concern. Societal pressure, hierarchy, etc. more so for women, and I hate to make this about gender, but it cannot be denied that there are still people seeing less of them. They expect them to be meek, helpless, cute mayhaps. Some still look down on their work just because. Either from these pressures directly or not, it changes someone. It is stifling to fit in with all these rules, so they have to come out on top, where there is not many, where it is only them, where it is freeing. They have to be independent and self-reliant without help from others, just to rub it in their face that they are capable. Who are they? I really hope the male character of this anime really went the way it is in my head. He is like this ideal moral beacon that brings her back rather than getting into trouble himself, stuck inside his own head like she is, or maybe even worse, shady step-sibling relationship stuff. Are you okay with that? He followed. It sounds exhausting. I love that he started with this. It doesn't sound too patronizing. At the same time, it sounded like he butters up his concern with a compliment. It sounded better in Japanese, but that's the context that I get. Of course it is exhausting. You are trying to act like this. You are trying to be seen as that. It's like a game. You're building up people's POV by acting like how you want to be seen. But you are trying to be this other person, not you, that you want people to see. And being someone else, like she said, is pretty tiring. Even if it takes tons of energy, as long as I can prove them wrong, it is worth it. Then he ponders, prove them wrong, but who? This is exactly my line of thinking even moments before this came up. If it is not clear yet, I am no longer of the same ideals as my mom, bless her, and that extends to Saki as well. I may only speak one-sidedly here, as I also speak basing everything on myself and my opinion. Just as I was saying, there are people who can and would use negativity as fuel, my mom included. Yes, the negativity hurts them, but they use those to better themselves in the end. If people refer to them as, for example, poor, cannot make enough money to go by, they would do everything in the world to be the opposite. They'd work twice as hard, make more money than those people, and be successful in those people's eyes. From the 20 or so years of living closely with my mom, I finally realized I am not that strong. I try to implement those same ideals only to end up feeling disappointed more. There is this one time with said close family that I have where I just kept winning at school. I got good grades, studied hard, got into some academic competitions, created some artistic stuff. Basically, I was winning. I was proud of it and told them, thinking I would get praised, finally get that satisfaction. They didn't tell me anything. Everything goes as usual immediately after. I spent my days studying and getting good grades again and again. It would have been nice to just get a few words like, oh, that's very good. But there are some fair reasons for this parenting technique where the role model, parents, grandparents, nurse, teacher, etc., does not give the kid too much praise and coddling because that can make them feel arrogant and entitled. Sure, that's fair. And then they brag about me at the big family gathering. That is like claiming others' achievements as your own without even acknowledging the others. This is the part where I raise the bar for my cousins. And so we are in this game of one-upping one another just so that the grown-ups could brag about us to each other. It wasn't until I was at high school graduation that I managed to have that reassurance back, that satisfaction. So, in my country, to graduate high school, you need to pass this national grade test. It is like your typical end-term test where they are testing what you have learned in high school. Apart from the base subjects, there are minor subjects that the students can pick, STEM-based or humanities. I was part of the STEM class and my subject of choice is biology. People would definitely see STEM as the better discipline, thinking the kids from there are smart and clever and disciplined. If you are from Indonesia, you know. But then again, my impeccable performance from elementary and mid school is surprisingly not here at all. My performance is one of the worst half of the class, granted there is only a handful of us. I tried to cram so many things into my brain and nothing stuck. Not even mathematics, which I used to have such an easy time with. It's even worse with physics and I am basically non-existent in chemistry. So I did the only reasonable thing and picked biology. Compared to the people who picked bio in my class, there are three of us, I am probably the worst, although not by much. I could tell because one person is a diligent, hardworking one, while the other is an actual biology nerd. My point back then was just so that I could graduate. I would not pass high school if I picked chemistry or physics. I don't know what struck me or why, but in the last few weeks near the test, I actually put a lot of effort into studying. I'm still not a big fan of that, so I just did what I think suits me best. I wrote down notes of important subjects, formulas, questions that would likely come up in the test. The test came by, I did as best as I could, and then came graduation day, where we were finally shown our scores. Thankfully, all of us, the smart ones and the stupid ones, actually managed to graduate. They thanked us for our efforts, congratulated us, and pulled some of us up to reward those who achieved the highest score of a subject. Some of my friends got called forward for having the highest math score. I barely passed math. Some for language, continuing to physics, and so on. Imagine the shock on my face when I heard my name get called. I was sitting with my mom, and there were the other kids and their parents beside me. Literally, my friends who were supposed to be smarter than me. I was dumbfounded. I look at my mom, I look at them, and they just gestured me to go up. They say all this congratulatory stuff. Congrats for getting the highest score in bio, blah blah blah. I shook hands, I walked back, and I was like, what just happened? My mom was like, oh my god, congratulations, wow. I was like, wait, what? And she was like, you got the highest score. And I was like, there is no way. And she's like, yes, there is. And I remember it is one of the few moments my ma actually patted my head, scrubbed my hair clean. I always hated that, but at that time I was still in that rush. That was one of the highest moments I had in the 12 years of my academic career. I was so proud of it, even though we only talked about that moment once, right then and there. More so considering my mom is the one who told me to not care much about grades, as long as we, her children, don't stay behind. Even with that, my mom still showed the genuine smile that I was looking for those 17 years of my life. She is happy that I succeeded. Then, like I said, we don't talk about it anymore. I only talk about it right after with my friends when we were having our own barbecue party. It was all just chatting and having fun. I asked them, how did I get the highest score? Why not them? And they were just chill, just cool, all like, yeah, all you man, congrats on that one. And we just talk about how dumbfounded I looked like when I heard my name being called. Anyway, I was getting sidetracked for too long. I am thankful that my mom, despite not having many expectations, can still show her being proud of me when I achieve something. That moment actually started a lot of my journey of failing multiple times, a lot of soul searching, that problem with college and my people. I tried to achieve that high again, even if my mom, again, didn't really expect something grand. I hate that I feel the need to do that. I hate that they look down on me. I hate that I tried so hard for that, so that perhaps my mom could brag about me in front of them. And I hate that I'm so oblivious of what's important. I was so missing the point there. I feel like Saki is missing the point here. Okay, so I managed to achieve success, I made money, I have a high position at work, I have a beautiful wife, I own a big house, and then I show it to them. What are they gonna say? Are they gonna take back everything they say? Are they gonna keep it to themselves, grit their teeth and say, damn it? Or are they gonna butter me up and praise me? Or are they just going to shrug it off? Are they going to credit that to someone? Something, the God with capital G? Are they going to brag about you to their peers like you're some kind of a trophy? Who are they? Why are we focusing so much on they? Why does Saki want to prove them wrong so badly? Prove what wrong even? For what? Just to show them, haha, yes, I'm better than you thought. And then what? What is the end goal here? Congratulations, Shinji, you're right, I'm wrong. And then years of your work just being tied up with a sentence. 2 at most. considering the amount of time and effort that you put up just to have a go at them. And it's not even guaranteed. My people don't even care what ended up happening to me, but if there is something good happening, they are going to claim it as their own. I don't know how they will react, if they will react the way I wanted. Saki doesn't know either. Who is to say they're not just going to shrug her off again with "no wonder she looks good and has a high education, she is rich," or something like that? It's never going to be enough. I have learned there are so many ways they could find fault in you, so many times. It all just becomes an endless cycle. You looking for validation from the people you hate the most, and they demand for more. You expect them to say "good job," but they say you could do better. You try and try, work hard, rise to the top, and they demand you to fly through the heavens. At that point, when will you be happy? After countless of falls and failures, I realized I am not a strong person. I do not want to seek hate just to prove that hate otherwise. I do not have enough energy to bother with living up to people's fantasies. I do not want to anticipate a reply that may or may not come. I do not want to base my successes on other people. I do not want to wait to be happy. I want to be happy. Despite my mom's strong ideals, I treasure the way she looks at her children. She would expect nothing from us, but she would be happy nonetheless for any of our achievements. No matter how small, no matter how minor, she would always show us how proud she was. I am a weak individual, and I've never been any happier in my entire life. Thank you for watching.